Welcome to the Continental. We hope you enjoy your stay.
Is this the dagger?
Welcome to the Continental. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about one of the most epic basketball events of the 2019 and 2020 seasons. That is the NBA Finals. And of course, I couldn't talk about any of this without the special guests of the Continental. And boy, do we have an excellent panel today. Not only do we have three-time guest Rod here to tell us how he feels after a crazy NBA playoffs and now talking about the NBA Finals. We also now have two-time guest Joe of Joe is the New Black. I hope you've catched his stuff on XXL. He's dropping some hot stuff. Check it out if you can. We've also got Mike Dizon of MDD Photography. If you need a photographer who can respect all your clean requirements, we got MDD Photography here for you. But if you want some hot takes about some basketball, we also got Mike Dizon here for you. And last but not least, we got the peruver of sites who always knows how to get the good stuff, whether it's shoes, electronics. I think I should have him on a video game podcast next. These guys all love video game podcasts. And he's also a new daddy as well. We've got Melvin. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for being guests of the Continental. It's great to have you. It's not only just amazing to see family again, but just to hear your opinions about this epic event that's the NBA Finals coming up. Thank you
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Are you? I know it might not necessarily have been the finals we all thought of, but what are your initial thoughts? You excited for these NBA Finals? Anybody?
Mike's excited.
Totally. It's a little bit unprecedented, forcing myself to watch non-Raptor teams, play. But in the end, a part of me was thinking, it'd be neat to have seen Lakers and Celtics. That's a classic matchup, from way back when I was young. That was not too long ago. But yeah, it is what it is. Lakers and Miami. So yeah, we'll see who the better team is.
Yeah, you know what? It's still a great finals of skill, and there's some great stories. Jay, what do you think?
I think it's obviously it was a little unexpected, but of the two, when it comes to Miami and Boston, I think Miami is a better finals matchup.
I will say, Rod was joking earlier, but that was one of the hot takes that we actually got right. We can actually look back and, we might have blown the time machine on the Western Conference prediction, but we were damn right about the Eastern.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Although, if my guy Jamal Murray had a couple more calls,
oh my gosh,
maybe it could have been different.
I think what was that game? I think that was game two. There's a couple of missed ones there, and I was just like, ugh. Captain Canuck deserved the better. Yeah.
When there's no excuse in this bubble where there's no fans, there's some noise pumped in, but the refs can hear every slap, every foul.
Yeah.
And there's still the same amount of refs, and they're looking at the ball, and you see a big slap, and he's complaining. I don't know. There's no excuse.
Yeah. It's, you know what? We got to just keep, as a country, Canada, if you're listening to this, keep coming together. Keep revving those conspiracy theories, not the other ones that are messing around with the health system. The more important ones, like basketball conspiracy theories, keep revving it up. Because, the one thing, as you said, the bubble showed, there's a lot of interesting missed calls or different styles of reffing. Like that Heat Celtics series had way more fouls than the Raptors Celtics. And I'm like, how is that possible? But anyway, Rod, what do you think? You excited for this matchup of surprisingly, we'll get into it, surprisingly close franchises?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like the matchup. We got, the big man versus the big man, and
Mm.
the big wing versus the big wing. So I think it'll be good. Rondo, I think he's found new life in the bubble. I'm impressed by his play. So we'll see. Old man Rondo versus young man Hero. It'll be interesting.
Well, you know what? Rondo is not that. If you want to do another comparison, old man Rondo versus old man Dragon, they're pretty close in age, and that is, and we'll get to that later. But that's an interesting duel too. I want to see. I'm kind of curious what kind of tricks will come out of that matchup, and who's going to piss each other off more.
Oh yeah.
Some Slovenian sass versus the raging Rondo. I don't know. Let's see.
All for Slovenia on this.
We'll let Melvin when he comes back. Everybody, he's as mentioned, he does have a new kid, and he went to look for make sure kid number one is doing well. So we'll get back to Melvin momentarily, and for his thoughts on the upcoming matchup and what he enjoys about it. But before we get into a little bit more detail, I want to just bring up some pretty cool history about these two franchises. And even though the Lakers are one of the original franchises of the NBA and have been around for 73 years, it's actually, if you look at the last 30 years, it's actually been quite a lot closer than you think in terms of how these franchises are. Just a quick recap: the Miami Heat are, which was started in 1988, already have 3 titles in the last 30 years, which is pretty kind of cool. The Lakers, if you start just from 1988, actually have 6 of their 16 titles in the last 32 years. Obviously, this will be kind of interesting given who's on whose side at this point in time of who's going to win, but that's pretty crazy. You know, the Miami Heat had their highest win streak total during the regular season was 27 games, led by LeBron James. The LA Lakers have the highest win streak total of 33 games. It's kind of crazy to have 2 teams that have some of the highest win streak totals ever. You got some notable Hall of Famers on each side. D Wade, of course, is going to be a pending Hall of Famer. LBJ is going to be Hall of Famer. Will he put on a Heat uniform when he goes into Springfield? Don't know. You got obviously Bosch, Alonzo Mourning, and then UD. And obviously Tim Hardaway. And Lakers, you don't even need to mention them. They're all synonymous with one names: Kobe, Shaq, Magic, Kareem, the logo, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Worthy, Wilt, Powell. Geez, you can just keep going. The coaches are incredible. Interesting that, Pat Riley kind of intersects both franchises. You can see the imprint of both. And they both have, Lakers kind of outstripped them when it comes to MVPs. They have 8 total. And the 2 MVPs of the Miami Heat are actually with LeBron James, who is currently a Los Angeles Laker. So these are pretty crazy franchises. And to be fair, these are not one new franchise versus one old franchise. This is 2 juggernauts going at each other toe to toe with a lot on the line and with a lot of narrative on the line. And actually, that brings me to my first panel question of the evening. For these 2 teams, who has the better narrative? Who is going to have a bigger say that this title was considered more than just a bubble asterisk in a good way? Like, will this title change the narrative of one of these franchises even more? I'll start with Rod. What do you think? Who does this title mean more to? Could mean more to?
I think that's a good question. Ooh. I would say it means more to the Lakers, actually more to LeBron, just in terms of his legacy. Because he doesn't want to be the guy that lost how many finals is now? He does lose this one. Was it 5? 4 or 5? I don't know.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
San Antonio,
Yeah.
Dallas, Golden State 3 times. Yeah, so that's 5.
That's 5. Yeah. I mean, the Lakers, I guess they did put a lot into getting AD and LeBron on the team, so they have that investment to worry about. I think for Miami, this is just like found money for them, even though, yeah.
Well, an interesting thought about Miami, what we talked about at the end of the last pod. Do you think this might entice or scare away a potential Giannis attraction.
I think he,
Giannis
yeah.
to where? The Lakers?
No, to the Heat. Because they were the other potential free suitor that's been saving those contracts. And does he want to be another KD or?
I don't know. I think Giannis has the personality where it won't matter. It's just if he wants somewhere, he's confident enough to know that he's going to do his thing, and he's unselfish enough to be like, if I choose this team, then I'll make it work.
Yeah, he's definitely a different personality. Definitely. So yeah, you know what, Rod, you hit a big one. LBJ is such a looming factor on both sides of history here, and whether the Heat or the Lakers, Heat probably want to, if they don't say it, but they want to probably give a little to their old former comrade in arms, even though it's really just Spo. But and obviously this is legacy building for number 4, right? Mike, what do you think? Who do you think this championship has a bigger impact to, the Lakers or the Heat?
Yeah, it's hard to say because Lakers is a really popular franchise, right? And especially now that you have LeBron, I mean, lots of pressure on him, as you just said, to win. And plus, he's also carried, in a sense, all the younger ones on that team. Seeing how poorly they did last year, and then look now, right? He's really proven himself. But then you have Miami, who's the underdog, and how we were last year. Everyone's kind of rode off the Raptors from the beginning, and we just kind of kept on edging. And then now knowing the stories of, I saw something on Instagram that Jimmy Buckets was, homeless, and then now look at him, he's, winning. He won the Eastern Conference title and on his way to the finals. So there's lots of. It would be something for Miami or for this group of Miami to win it, and that'll be interesting. And yeah, if they do win it, then that kills LBJ's narrative, the legacy. So
you know what? It's quite a balance. I keep forgetting, like, Jimmy Bucket's story is incredible, and that should not be like taken away. That defines who he is and has been at every stop, and he's brought that fire to the Heat. And this is going to be the first, I think, Heat title that's going to look like this, right? Like the grind it out, bust you in the mouth style, the no nonsense style, because the other wins were the Heatles and the Wade and Shaq show. This is different. This is definitely different. Melvin, welcome back.
Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, we all understand, and we can all appreciate. That's why we have these kind of podcasts, and that's why you're a guest here at the Continental. So you have a moment to express yourself. So please, let us know, between the Heat, Miami Heat, and the Los Angeles Lakers, who do you think this championship is going to mean more to, from a today perspective and also a future narrative perspective?
Ooh, tough one. Every time I think of the Lakers, I think they've got their "Leave the Legacy," I think it is, slogan now, and everything that happened this year with Kobe. I think kind of that's a big narrative right now for them trying to win. So I think this year at least, the Lakers are kind of almost like destiny in that standpoint. And when I think of the Heat, like, they kind of just came together. They got some young pieces, so it's great that they've kind of gotten to the finals, but they still have a few years together potentially to kind of, build some more, especially with Bam and Hero and all those guys. So definitely, I think Lakers on that standpoint it means more.
Yeah, everybody
I completely forgot Kobe was this year. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Oh, yeah, that was January.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what? May him and his daughter and the rest of the people on the helicopter rest in peace, right? So yeah, it was just in January. It feels like a lifetime
2020.
ago. Yeah, that's right, because LeBron wears the finger wrap too, right? The one that says the 24. Hey, if there's any, as you said, fate or destiny associated to it. Well, a pandemic bubble is brings out the adversity in every situation. I got to give them credit; they really pulled one together. Considering they lost Bradley at the beginning, they picked up J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters for better or for worse. So it's like, yeah, no, it's definitely Lakers have a crazy story to tell. And you know what? We keep forgetting they got no draft picks in the next 5 years. So yeah. So LBJ must keep himself in a frozen bubble because they're going to need every ounce of it for the next little while. Jay, what do you think?
Who does it mean most to
Yes.
in terms of the franchise?
Narrative.
I think if you just look at it, you'd think Miami because all the guys on there haven't really won except for some of the older. Like, I think Haslam was the last remaining veteran, right?
Yeah, Haslam's the last one.
But like you were saying, it would have to still be the Lakers with the most pressure because this team was put together to win right now and for this purpose to bring home a championship. And LeBron, you handpicked this team, so you better believe if we're giving you that much control that this is better. Got to bring home the chip. And he's never had this much rest.
Yeah.
He's, so he's A, not traveling. B, he hadn't had last year. They didn't even make the postseason. So, and there's no Olympics. There's no world. There's nothing. So
4 months
all he
off.
has to worry about is Space Jam 2. And that's it.
I don't want to see no cast at the end of this. If something happens, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Man, see, this is why, Irvin, you need to be on here. This would have been a perfect time for you to, do your thing. Just kidding. But yeah, you know what? Honestly, my personal opinion, I think this is the obvious narrative is it's huge for LBJ for the Lakers because they sacrifice so much from a franchise perspective. But heck, this is my only gripe with these two teams is that everybody goes to either Miami or Lakers. Everybody's like, oh, great destination, hot weather, hot women, great beaches, great power, no taxes. I'm like, both these franchises, like, y'all got horseshoes up your whatever. No. But if I had to pick, though, I think it's huge for the Lakers because of everything that's happened this year, and it would be a nice capper. But I think legacy-wise, this is huge for Miami because they've stated they have this Heat culture, but their championships have been won by superstars. This would be, as Mike, you put it, like similar to your culture is helping you win this championship, right? Like you built this culture of work your butt off, and now the results are showing. And picking well too. They don't have any lottery picks now, like in terms of who they've picked. So this is gonna be pretty epic. It's gonna be good. But let's get to the basketball aspect. And I want to hear your basketball thoughts since all of you all are better than me by a lot of factor when it comes to basketball. So let's get some real basketball thinking here. All right. So just a quick reminder to our audience. We have some real juggernaut teams here in the NBA Finals. There's no fluky dookie teams here. There's no all offense, no defense, or all defense and can't hit the side of a wall kind of basketball teams here. The Miami Heat, here it is. The Miami Heat during the NBA playoffs were 7th on defense from a defensive rating perspective and 4th on offense, whereas the Los Angeles Lakers were 5th in defense and 2nd in overall offense. If you look at the top two teams, they're basically first rounders. For offense, one of them was Utah, who was out in the first round and who scored like a bajillion points. So really, you're looking at two top 5 in offense and top 5 defense playoff teams going head to head. So even though their seedings aren't even close, these guys are juggernaut teams. And I think it's going to be a crazy, crazy battle. So with that being said, my next question for the panel here is, who will be the most surprising player of the playoffs in either team? So let's start off with who will be the X factor? I'll start with Jay. We'll go in reverse order.
The X factor on the Lakers? On each team, we're going to pick an X factor or the whole series?
On the actually, you know what? Do both teams. We can do both teams.
I think on Miami, although he showed it the last game, it'd be Duncan Robinson, Michigan's own, because he hasn't been fully kind of comfortable enough, and he kind of had a breakout game in that last game going into the finals, which is a good sign for him. But he was, I don't know, he was playing really well until the postseason for sure.
Mhm.
And for the Lakers, I'd have to say, I think it would still be Mr. Kuzma, whether he could take that next step and actually, he's trying to be more assertive, but I still see him not being assertive enough in big moments. So I think those two are key guys.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I definitely like Robinson is going to be very interesting because I don't know who's going to guard him on the Lakers. To be honest, I don't know who's going to chase him around. It'll be interesting because Danny Green's going to be dealing with Butler or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to be chasing around. But yeah, what are your thoughts about that, Melvin?
Ooh, X factors. So, hot take here. Lakers, Dwight Howard. So, I don't know. I think
Who's that?
them going big. Them going big. His defense, I think he did really well the last game, at least with blocks and everything. So, I think them going big will definitely, it's a matchup versus their size versus the speed and the 3-point shooting of the Heat. So if they can make them kind of play their game, then Lakers have a chance there. From the Heat side of things, that's a tough one. I think whoever can guard LeBron, so between Jay Crowder, Iguodala, one of those two, they have a lot of bodies to throw at LeBron. So who could kind of do the best job of maintaining him a little.
That's some classic old school like Eastern Conference matchups. Well, Eastern and Finals matchups. I forgot Crowder tried to back in those Boston days. Him and they were going at it, right? This would be interesting. Your Dwight Howard one actually brings up a good point. I wonder what they're gonna do. They're gonna try to put him on Bam, or they're gonna try to go to the perimeter with Kelly. Because if they go big, that's actually really interesting. I have no clue.
Yeah.
That's good. What do you think?
A lot of big bodies between JaVale and Anthony Davis and Howard. There's three tall guys there.
Yeah, but they're not as fast as Bam, so that's why it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna play. Because I would think almost AD has to deal with Bam, but to your point, Bam's like Jokic. He's a passer too. So if he did that to he bothered Jokic. That's a good one. Yeah, Mike, what do you think? You have any similarities with what Melvin and Jay are saying?
So X factor as in like good or like who's gonna?
Like who do you think will could swing a game or two? Like you don't expect them to score like 25 points a night, right? Like it's
okay.
Who do you think's gonna change up the games?
So I would say J.R. Smith. Just kidding.
Swish.
No. I would say similar to Melvin. For the Lakers, it would be Dwight Howard because he in the last series he bullied Jokic, man. Like he just he got into his head. He just stopped him, and Jokic obviously was trying to come back in later in the games, but it was almost a little too late. So I think Dwight Howard has an energy that really pumps up the rest of the Lakers team. On Miami, right now the big story is Hero, right?
He can be your hero, baby.
Yeah. Enrique Iglesias. See. It's crazy to see what he can contribute or what he has been contributing, especially in the last series. Again, young guy that is making his mark. So yeah, I think that's what we do.
Those are some. You know what? That's actually 3 different sets of X factors right there, except for Dwight Howard again. That just goes to show you these teams are actually probably deeper than everybody, all the talking heads on TV have talked about, because I think a lot of people have said the Lakers are like just a 2-man team, and it's like, what are you going to get? But that last series with the Nuggets showed a pretty interesting supporting cast from the Lakers. Everybody showed up a little bit. just enough. So it'd be kind of interesting. Rod, who's
no.
tickling your X factor?
Well, for the Lakers, they'd have to go with Ernie's son there, Alex Caruso. He showed a little bit. He showed a little bit in that series against the Nuggets. Hit a timely 3 or 2, and he came up big with some defense as well. So I think he's poised to, do a little something against Dragic or whoever he's matched up against, maybe Hero. I think he'll make a good showing. And then for the Heat, now that you mentioned the bigs, I think Kelly Olynyk's going to have a
Canadian.
He didn't play at all against Boston, really. But because Lakers are such a bigger team than the Celtics were, he's going to have a usefulness, especially if he can hit his threes. They can play that 5 out or at least 4 out and keep Bam in the middle and draw, AD or Dwight away from the key.
Yeah. Small.
Kelly's my guy.
Yeah, you know what? It's another Team Canada. That's what makes this rooting for which team. I don't even know who to root for because there's a little bit of either side that I kind of like. But to Team Canada again, Kelly, the irony is Boston actually could have really used a Kelly Olynyk Game 7 or in that last series. They just they just needed a slightly bigger body who could shoot. That would have been interesting if they could have pulled Bam away from but they were in a zone. But then if they were in a zone, he could have just kept shooting, all day, all night. So, oh well, I keep forgetting that he was on Boston. But yeah, he could be a pretty crazy X factor. Yeah, each team is going to bring a crazy, plethora of kids to the party, and I think that's what makes it an exciting series. You really don't know, right? It's not like previous series where it was back in the Golden State Cleveland days. It's not just about the top 3. We're talking about full team compliments here, and I got to give it to the Lakers. I might have, talked a lot of crap about them, in the beginning of the season, but they honestly actually, showed up and they came together as a team, even though everybody was saying they couldn't score anything. So it'll be interesting to see if their others are going to be able to step up, especially against a Miami Heat zone that's just going to be thrown at them left, right, and center. So, okay, next up. Now, we talked about the X factors. What about the stars? Okay, I just want you to pick one star, not one from each team. One star who's going to just use the starting lineup as an example, who's going to make a difference in this series. It doesn't have to be they don't have to be the superstar. It could just be anybody. Who do you think will swing it? I'll start. Let's start with Melvin this time.
Jimmy Butler, I'm going to say.
Who's that?
And
Okay.
if he could bring Mark Wahlberg to the games and watch him and everything. He's his defense, his involving the teammates, him taking over in the fourth quarter. I think Miami, as good of a team as they are, team wise, they still need kind of that closer like we did with Kawhi kind of thing. So him being able to kind of take over in the last few minutes of the game if they're close will definitely be needed. So definitely I think Jimmy Butler will be the star to look out for.
You know what? He's been around so long, you keep forgetting that this is going to be that was his first conference finals, and this will be his first NBA finals. And that dude is game time all the time. And he's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see the pressure that he's going to put defensively and offensively. Mike, what do you think? Who's a star player that's going to make things interesting for this series?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but probably Anthony Davis. Just it's kind of crazy, right? Just because whenever you think that he wouldn't, I don't know, he wouldn't get a shot, he does get a shot. And you see the drive, in him, and that he's hungry because it is his first, right?
Yeah.
He's been playing with the crappy Pelicans forever.
Exactly. And having been handpicked by LeBron, you know, and now them being teammates and under his wing, whatever. Yeah, but my second would be Jimmy. But yeah, I don't know. I do see him, you know, being that guy.
Yeah, you know, he has a lot to prove. He's still young, but he's been touted. He's like LeBron, right? Like from the get-go, he's been the number one guy, from the number one pick all the way through New Orleans till now. That's just like in this day and age with media, that's pressure packed, right? And that I'm 99% sure that's probably part of the reason why he moved over to LA. So it's you know, it's his game. Let's see what he can bring. Jay, what do you think? What star's gonna bring it?
It's I think the only guy that's the main guy has got to be LeBron, because AD can't have the ball in his hands from both sides, but LeBron's gonna have the ball in his hands. Mr. leading the league in assists. It's all gonna be about him, and I just don't. He's the guy that is like the coach on the floor, so really he's gonna be everything to the Lakers and everything to the series.
Yeah, and honestly, for that one, this is where I am actually maybe leaning towards one side more than the other, is because I think I can believe in Eric Spoelstra to figure some shit out. But we'll talk about that later, because that has some more has some important factors to it. Also, Team Filipino, but whatever. Just like, bring some. Ron, is there any superstar that hasn't been talked about, or any star from either team that you think will make a significant difference in this series?
I got to agree with Jay and go with LeBron as well. You know, I said during Game 4 that LeBron looked washed. Like his offense just wasn't there. He was missing everything. Like, which is kind of a common occurrence now. But Game 5, in that fourth quarter, it was like old LeBron was back.
Yeah.
Like he was hitting everything, threes, twos, drives, what have you. He was like hitting it. And like that's going to be key for this series, because if old LeBron offensively is back, then Heat have no chance. Because up till now he's been playing the facilitator like pretty much the whole way. Like he hasn't been looking for his own stuff. But if he decides to, you know, turn it on and he can make those buckets and, you know, not leave those free throws and threes at the line, then, you know, I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah. I got shades of Detroit watching that last game, that Game 5. I was like, what the heck? This is like way back, throwback. It was just like everything. But yeah, no, it's, you know what? LeBron is going to be that's obviously got to like be a huge choice. It's going to be LeBron or Jimmy. Obviously, I know it's a loaded question. I will throw in there, and I already mentioned him before, but I'm going to give a shout out to the Slovenian badass, the Dragon, Goran Dragic. He's just been somebody I've been following obviously since the Phoenix days. And I remember way back when he torched the Spurs, even when he like came off the bench to close them out really nice. But that guy is just went back in a time machine and just smoked everybody in the playoffs, even though he was playing on the bench the whole season. And Rondo has been their Lakers X factor to hold down the guards. But you're like, he didn't like think about who he was dealing with. Like he hasn't had to deal with somebody like Dragon yet, right? He didn't he was injured for Dame and CJ. Well, Jamal's different, right? He could still pull out all the old bags of tricks from a offense perspective. He averaged,
and on defense he could pull out that thing called fouling him.
Yeah.
And not get called.
Yeah. He has the old man, he gets the old man treatment. But Rondo had what? He averaged 8 assists in that series, which is like crazy. He was off the bench, right? And I'm like I'm not saying Dragon is like super defensive, but he's good, right? And he's gonna put a lot of pressure to just like not from a shooting perspective, but from just like getting in his face. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them tries to trip each other, like I don't know, grab each other's leg.
Mean side. He's got a mean side for sure. Dragic is he's a pit bull. It'll be good.
It'll be good. And now that it's for all the marbles, I could see that guy like really just tripping somebody hard. So like he's gonna want to win it all. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a crazy series. Even though like the teams aren't loaded with superstars, there are some really good stars here, and I think it's gonna make for you never know where it's gonna come from every night. So that's gonna make it crazy. All right, the next segment I call it the Fast 5-on-5. I got 5 versus battle here, and I want to hear your quick hit opinion. And then your quick hit, don't think about it. Give me which side you fall on, and then we'll talk about it. All right? All right, quickly. Rod, Spoelstra or Vogel?
Polstra.
Jay, Bam or AD?
AD.
Melvin, Tyler Hero versus the Laker bench.
Tyler Hero.
Mike, Dragon or Rondo? Because I already answered that one.
Dragon, yeah.
And then for all of us, LBJ versus Butler. Say it out loud.
LeBron.
LeBron.
Hate to say
Butler.
Not who you're rooting for. Who's gonna?
Oh yeah, I'm rooting for Jimmy.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I have to go with LeBron too with that one, right? Like, but
I'm
rooting.
rooting
We'll
for
talk.
Jimmy Buckets.
We'll talk about rooting after. All right, quick discussion about it. Spo versus Vogel. Mike, Eric Spoelstra, Team Philippines. Anyway, I'll just keep. Yeah, there's only so many like Asian people in the NBA. Come on, we got to
true.
show. At least back-to-back years. Last year got Jeremy Lin. This year got some Spoelstra. So some good stuff. Anyway. Oh man. Anyway, who would you pick? Spo versus Vogel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say Spoelstra. More so because I still see Lakers as a LeBron coaching team, right? So LeBron's calling most of the shots. I didn't really, I hardly see Vogel like really be in the forefront. And as you know, like I watch Practical Jokers, so I thought he was that guy Joe Gatto from there. Anyways, I mean, Spoelstra having gone to the finals himself with LeBron, right? Like that's got to say something about his methods of coaching. So I would say
he's really brought it. Rod, you answered Spo.
Spo, yeah. I mean, he's just shown to me that he's like a really good coach. He's taken 2 rookies and none in Hero, and then like an undrafted guy in Robinson, and he's diversified them. He's brought them together and and made them into a team. And then bringing Butler, and I mean Butler last 2 stops he flamed out, right? Mini, like he called out the rooks, and Philly he couldn't play with Embiid and Simmons, but here he's their leader, and I think Spo's a big part to do that, to bring them all together.
Yeah, it's organizational leadership, right? Like Jimmy didn't have to call out anybody because the organization was calling him out and everybody else before he could even say anything. So it was pretty good. Melvin, your choice, Spo or Vogel?
Spo, definitely Spo. To Rod's point, the whole Nursify thing. Spo has that ability to diversify the defenses too, right? He's going between zone and man, and just trying to figure out ways to disrupt them, and that's what he'll have to do in this series. So, he's been there before. He's been there with LeBron, like everyone said, and he knows, like when LeBron, I think the last series where he left the Heat and went back to Cleveland, like he knows what happened there. I think it was a zone that kind of affected him. So, it was years ago. LeBron might have kind of, adapted to that, but still he knows those weaknesses. If anyone does, Spo does.
Yeah. Jay? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, guarantee it's Spoelstra. It's just he's the coach, whereas LBJ is the coach on the other side. He's been there before, more than once.
Yeah.
Experience is big. And when you got kids like Hero and Robinson and all these kids that are really young, that experience and that knowledge is what. And the planning and coaching, that's what gets them through those things. And knowing when to sit certain guys and knowing when not to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the experience is going to be huge here, right? Like Vogel has been to the conference finals, and hey, I got to give him credit, right? Like we said it in the last podcast, he can make adjustments, and they have bought into his at least voice. Um, I got to go with Spo, right? Because if I was Spo, and I'm not, because I'm nowhere as good as him at basketball, and don't know anything about X's and O's and videos. So that's why I'm using Zoom, by the way. No, but if I was Spo, and he already said, like, or people already pointed it out. He looked at that Boston series versus Toronto and said, "Holy crap, Boston had no idea what to do with the zone in the long run." And he just said, "I'm just gonna run this thing right from the get-go." If I was Spo, I'm gonna go back to that first game in the bubble with the Raptors and the Lakers, and Nurse basically nullified AD and LeBron again. Like, you could say whatever about the November game, but that first bubble game, after they already had beat the Clippers and they were ready to go, and he smoked them with another system. I would not be surprised if Spoelstra and his coaching staff borrow a couple from there, and they're smart enough to do that, to use what they can get. So yeah, Team Swell, 5-on-5. Yeah. All right, Bam versus AD. Jake, what's your thoughts?
I love Bam, and he's a big question mark, and I feel like now he's on everyone's radar, and he's a freak athletically, can play all five. But so can AD, and to the next level. This guy's, with that wingspan and that height, the one question mark isn't who's going to step up, but I don't think they have a guy that can stop AD. Yeah. There's just no one in the league, I don't think. So that's like their ace in the hole, and it's just a matter of whether he wants it. And when he wants it, he's either going to get fouled or it's going to be an and one from three or an and one for a dunk.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and this is where I know I'm going to bring up Nick Nurse again, because I think we all will every once in a while, but you can't do anything conventional with somebody as amazing as that. You have to throw everything at the book at them, right? Everything that's in every college, high school, elementary school, professional book at them. And the one thing they were doing is multi-swarm zones, right? Like everybody coming from everywhere, because there's no way to stop this guy. He's got so long, but he can't predict where it's coming from. He's like LeBron. He's just aware of so much. You can't just give him a consistent pattern. So, yeah, no, it's a good one. Melvin, Bam, or AD?
AD as well. AD as well. He's unstoppable. Like when he's aggressive, he's unstoppable. It's a matter of if he's going to be tentative, if he's going to cede to Braun there. His skills, his 3-point shooting, his ability to like handle the ball. Like I think he was a point guard, or he was something when he was in high school. So you could see that exactly. Wish that happened to me. You could see that definitely. When he brings up the ball, he could handle it the entire time. So he's unstoppable if he chooses to be.
Wants to be, yeah. First off, y'all are taller than me, so don't complain about being short. You're all taller than me. And second, yeah, AD did start at 6'1", I think, when he went to college, and he went like to 6'11" or whatever. So, he's crazy, man. Mike.
Yeah, I would say AD, just because more also the players that can feed the ball to him, right? Like Bam has, I don't know, in the times that I've seen Bam, like as Jay said, he's very athletic, he's very agile, but yet with AD, he just gets better as like he has players like Rondo and LeBron. Those passes, those assists, and whatever plays they make for AD, just make him shine all the better and have that experience. So that's why I would say AD.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, no. Hey, can't deny, man. He's a little bit of an alien. He's in Space Jam 2, right?
Is he?
Is it? Is he? I think he is.
I think so.
Yeah. That's pretty obvious. Rod.
He already has the
His eyebrows.
Here's the cartoon. They're like, oh.
You went on the Monstars, or
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
I don't know. I just asking, man.
Hey, at least he's not Sean Bradley, and I'm like he would be like.
Oh my gosh.
Ron.
I'll have to go with Bam. No, not Bam. AD. Yeah, he's clearly the best out of the two. Bam, he's a great finisher. Throw him the ball and he's gonna dunk it or make a two. But AD can create. Like no other way that Bam can. So yeah, it's not much of a debate there between those two.
Yeah, I don't think Bam's gonna be able to score as much as he did against Boston. Like Boston had no answer, right? And Lakers have all the length, so it'll be tough for Bam. But I think he's gonna show out. But yeah, not AD right now, right? So that's good. Next up, Tyler Hero versus the entire Laker bench. I think Tyler scored in that one game more than the Lakers bench averages. I'm pretty sure he does. I should look that up. But anyway, Melvin, go ahead.
Yeah, when I think of the Lakers, I think the two stars, LeBron and AD, scoring all those points. So that's why I think Tyler Hero will do better, just because it's more against the Lakers bench than it is a Tyler Hero thing, I think, if anything, for me. I am surprised by how Hero has been playing. He's been great. He has that confidence, he has that swagger, and just the ability of using his last name as a pun, like Hero Ball or whatever else. He can't write that stuff. So exactly. So yeah, I think Tyler Hero versus the bench.
You know what? That kid, yeah, he obviously came from Kentucky, so it's not like he came from like a Division II school, right? Like he was definitely he had some chops right from the get-go, but I can't think of a comparison. Like, do you have any, like, let me ask you guys, like, is there a comparison to him in the league that you can think of off the top of your head? I can't, like, that style, that like his confidence at like a rookie. I honestly can't think of who's done what he's doing at a rookie.
All I could think of is
slasher.
Porzingis. Just Porzingis, like the way he came into the league, and he didn't really care. He had confidence. Even Doncic, I guess, even. Like they just have that confidence, and they don't care. Like they're stepping up to anyone. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I would even say think about the slingers that are in the league, right? Like on the Lakers, you got JR and like formerly Swaggy P and Dion Waiters. Okay, maybe Dion Waiters, but as a rookie, Dion Waiters was nowhere this consistent. Okay, he was just like whatever, I don't care. There was nobody on my team except for Kyrie Irving, right? Like he's Tyler Hero is like calm, collected, follows the team. Takes control, doesn't do crazy shots, and he just follows the flow of the offense. He's not trying to take it over. They're just giving what the offense gives them, and he's a rookie. I can't think of many rookies who've done that who's not the star. It's like
not in terms of being a rookie. I think this is unprecedented.
Yeah.
In terms of style of play, shooter but slasher, I'm thinking like old school Charlotte Rex Chapman, who was the three-point champ, but also could fly and also was going for dunks. But he's a unique guy. He's part of the new breed that wants to shoot from unlimited range and is not afraid to take it in against the big guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was pretty impressive.
And he has that in-between game. So it's like Rip Hamilton in-between game where he's dropping shots just outside the key all around as well.
Yeah.
Or he loves that little free throw jumper. And it's money. Buckets.
Yeah. Well, he's found that gray zone, man. That's some people are saying. If you get good at twos, you're gonna be in this league forever. Yeah. Rod.
I'm actually gonna take the Lakers bench. I pulled them up on the screen here. So their bench is either McGee or Howard, and then they have Kuzma, Rondo, Caruso, and possibly Morris or Keefe. And that's pretty decent for the finals. I mean, none of them are world beaters by themselves, but they all have different uses in different situations.
Yeah.
And I think between McGee and Howard, their fouls are going to be useful against Bam. And Rondo, like I said, he found new life in the bubble. Like I've been impressed with the way he's been playing. So I think each of them will, I don't know if their points total is going to be greater than Harrell, but I think in terms of impact, I think it's going to be pretty big.
You know what? Their experience is what I think will be the difference, not in the points, as you said, but they've been like Howard, McGee, not Markieff, Rondo have all been to the finals, right? And Caruso, whatever osmosis he gets from LeBron. I don't know. But it's a good point. Yeah, Lakers bench it's actually more legit, right? What we said from the get-go.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah.
See, this is where we once again. I need a picture of Irvin, like right here, be like Irvin. Just let's call Irvin in here, and he can be laughing here. Just
I can hook that up, right?
Yeah.
I would actually agree with Rod. Like, I mean, yeah, Hero. He's although he's exceptional. I mean, the energy that the bench Lakers bring, right? It's even though they're even short. Like I could think of Caruso. I know he just sometimes in D, he'll strip a ball, without, and he won't give up on the play, right? Yeah, I forgot about Markieff Morris. Sometimes he's kind of scary.
It'd be funny if Markieff and Marcus decided to switch places just for a little bit. It'd just be like Markieff. Because I don't know why. I feel like their careers, they decided to switch places partway through their careers because Markieff was the one who was scoring like the better one. And then like when Marcus went to Detroit, he suddenly got like way better. And Markieff just fell off a cliff after he went to Washington. And I'm like, what happened, dude? And I'm like, you guys switched places, didn't you? Yeah. Markieff is like, hey, bro, I'm not feeling it. Can you just switch places with me? All you need to do is spot up in the corner and just shoot threes and play some defense. That's all. It's like, just don't say anything to LeBron and he won't know any different. Just say yes or no to him.
Parent Trap 3 over here.
Yeah, no, it's a good debate. Tyler's shown some, crazy pops, and not just since that Boston game, but like the whole playoffs. And hey, I'll give the Lakers bench credit once again. Like I didn't think, like they're not even using JR and Dion, right? It's the same bench they had in the regular season. So I give them credit for that. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's true, but I've seen those posts that says Dion, interestingly enough, may get a ring no matter what.
Yeah, man. Do you
Because
think
he was on Miami long enough where they would consider giving him a ring if they win, and if Lakers win, he'll win with them. Because he was on Miami long enough where if they want to, they can give him a ring.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's the same way we gave Valanciunas that year, right?
We should have given. Okay, first off, Jonas. We should have given him Jonas, CJ, and Alon. They didn't get a ring, right? We should have given them the ring. That is. I hate to say it, like I love the Raptors organization. That was one of the biggest like screw ups they ever done. That's just my opinion because every game mattered. Every game mattered, and if I'm just going on a slight soapbox rant here, but every game mattered, and you can't say that them helping us win just 2 more games because we had Game 7 at home against Philly, because all it took was 2 losses, and we would have not had home court advantage. But anyway, off my soapbox. Going back to Dion Waiters, Mr. Gummy Bear Waiters, he's probably an exceptional dude, but I would be shocked if the Heat were that nice, for Mr. Gummy Bears. Okay, next up, 2 more to go. We talked about this briefly, so we could probably skim through this quickly. Dragon versus Rondo. Mike, who do you got?
Dragon. Yeah. Just because, hey, my wife's half Slovenian, so I gotta support the Slovenians.
I didn't know that. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Otherwise, Mike's sleeping on the couch if he doesn't choose. Dragon.
And I actually visited Slovenia. Really, really awesome culture. But every time I saw the dragon even face us, it's just like, anywhere he's at, he's running the floor, he's getting that bucket in no matter what, right? Rondo, he's surprising, and as everyone has mentioned, he's really stepped up in these series. Going back to no passes and and making assists out of nowhere, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think still intensity. I think I came across a YouTube a clip that says why the NBA players hate Dragic, right? And
Really?
you guys
I didn't
watch
know.
that? I'll find it.
I didn't
So you're gonna find it.
it.
You gotta send that over.
Yeah. I mean, and then the thumbnail is him with all these like I don't know, bruises and puffy eyes and stuff like that because they keep on elbowing him. But I mean, then that's got to say something, right? Like he's stirring in a good way, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see him in the finals and what he does.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a battle, and I'm looking forward to that. That's one I'm definitely looking forward to. Rod, what do you think? Dragon or Rondo? Playoff Rondo 2.0. Future Hall of Famer, potentially.
Future, potentially. I don't know about that, but
in the words of Kendrick Perkins, who is the ultimate talking head at the moment.
You think Rondo's a Hall of Famer? Really? I like a good story. And apparently, if Rondo wins the championship, he'll be the first person to win it as both a Laker and a Celtic. So
Boom.
For that, I'm taking Rondo. Just for the story. And plus, he's been to the championship. He knows what it takes once you're there.
Yeah.
He was one of the. He became part of the Big Four in Boston.
Yeah.
Outside of the Big Three, he was the guy that kind of held them all together.
Yeah.
So I think he'll make an impact in this series. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he has the chops, and he's been itching for it, right? That's why LeBron wanted him, right? So he took a pay cut. So yeah. Melvin.
I'm gonna say Dragic.
Dragic.
Those lefties, something about them that they're just unstoppable for some reason. It's like everyone forgets that they're left-handed and they kind of give them that lane. So it's he's crafty. I guess that's the word that we use. Very crafty, and he has that kind of ability, like you guys said, to get under people's skin. So I think he'll do that, and I think he'll just make some plays like driving, kicking out, all that kind of stuff. He'll definitely be able to get through that defense, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a dragon. He's gonna slip through. Jay, finish us off. Dragon or Rondo? Dragic or Rondo?
I'm gonna say Dragic. I'm not gonna call him Dragon because there's only one dragon.
Be like water, my friend.
But I do think, Dragic is super strong, super aggressive, and he always has the bruises and black eyes because he really gets into when he's playing defenders. He gets into them. He got elbowed how many times in the last series? All because he's getting into their space, which is amazing.
Yeah, no fear.
And if he frustrates Rondo, but Rondo's also a mosquito that frustrates everybody and holds and pulls, and so it'd be interesting because they're both that same kind of annoying player. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, they're carbon copies of each other. So, and I already talked about how I thought about it, but yeah, it's good. That's going to be a true side battle. That's going to determine it all. All right, last one. In terms of the fast 5-on-5, and I'll also sidetrack. I'll also double it up because we're going to talk about this later, but we're going to save some time here. We got the Kalo Award because the Rod and Jay knows this one. The Kalo Award for who's going to will their team to victory. Is it going to be LBJ or Jimmy Buckets? Let's start with Rod.
As much as I'd love to pick Jimmy for this, I gotta pick LeBron.
Caruso? What?
Yeah, Alex, Ernie's son. You gotta go with LeBron here. Just He's the most accomplished player in between the two teams. You know, he's been here and lost a lot of times. He's lost the finals enough times that he knows how to win it as well. Yeah, I know Jimmy wants it as well, but I don't think there's enough coffee in the world to take him past LeBron.
Hey, maybe if you get some shipped some from Jimmy's up here, you know, you might get a little extra boost.
Jimmy's.
Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe that didn't help him at all because the Philly lost that series. So never mind. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Mike, what do you think? Who do you got? LeBron James or Jimmy Buckets?
So it would be LeBron, but I'm rooting for Jimmy. But yeah, you can see his drive. He's got something to prove for sure. So he'll stop at anything. And who wants to stop that freight train, right? Going
Yeah.
down 100 miles per hour. That kind of reminds me of Mike. But but yeah, I would say LeBron.
We got to get Mike A to come for the next one. But we'll talk about the topic next time. I think I gotta give him like 10 days notice because to be fair, he's probably at work.
Or
Melvin,
he just doesn't want to talk.
yeah, don't worry. I'll blur out your face, Mike. Don't worry. There's apps for that.
So I guess, like everyone said, you know, I'm rooting for Jimmy for sure. But most impact would be LeBron. He does everything for the team. He's their point guard. He's their crunch time leader. Probably their best defensive player, I would think, as well. So he'll definitely, even though I guess Jimmy is kind of all three of those things too, to his team. But I think LeBron is just more skilled in general. So LeBron. Yep.
Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, in his 16th season,
You can go like
LeBron
this too.
James. I know, right? I'll hold it here. You can't see what I'm holding. Oh, it's taking it out. But anyways, it's a Academy Award, which I will also give to LeBron for acting like he gets fouled on every single play.
He has that Tim Duncan look too now. He's like the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every play is to the ref, but that's still not taking away that he's been incredible and leading at this stage, 16th season, leading the league in assists, and now he's as rested as he's ever gonna be to take over, and I just don't see him losing 4 times.
Yeah.
You know.
See, and for me, that's a tough part, right? Like, I've seen LBJ do this, and this time it's not like a plethora of just like ridiculous scorers, right? Like, they don't have a toe-to-toe for a scoring perspective. Like, the Heat are a system regardless. The only thing I would say, though, and this makes me lean a little, I have to say I'm going to go against the grain and say Jimmy. It's not just, they both have the will, don't get me wrong. The only thing is the Heat have gone through so much more fire, and Butler's had to go through so many more heavy wings. And I think Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo mentioned this in their podcast last week. LeBron hasn't had a heavy wing to face yet. And I'm wondering if he's gonna get tired out real fast. Because when you have to deal with Jimmy like gutting you all the time, or like on defense, like he would have had to face it, whether it was Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Butler. He didn't have to face that. Like, Blazers didn't have anybody. They gave up all their wings. The Rockets, they didn't have anybody because they had to spread the wealth for everybody. And the Nuggets didn't really have anybody, right? Like, no offense to Torrey Craig or Gary Harris. They're just not as big or as – and by the way, to your point about calls, Jimmy's going to get the calls, right? Jimmy's going to get the same calls LeBron did. Jimmy's lead like he was near top of the league and leads in the playoffs and getting free throws. So either Frank Vogel and the executives are going to be complaining to the NBA again about foul calls, or it's just going to go even Steven. All right. Well, we've reached the end of the pod. I did have one more question, but I think we can save that for watching the finals. And I'd rather want to know You hit the nail on the head, Jay. Who do you think is going to win the 2019-2020 NBA championship, and in how many games? Let's start. This is going to be a big one. We can argue all day, but let's keep it child friendly. Rod, we'll start with 3-time. Rod, 3-time.
3-time.
Don't swear, Rod.
3-time. No swearing. No swearing.
So who do you think is going to win, and in how many games?
My heart says the Heat, but my head says the Lakers, and I think it'll be in 5.
Ooh.
Lakers in 5. Yeah, they'll give one. They'll give one to the Heat. Yeah.
I think that's a little generous. Are you trying to reverse jinx the Heat?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. I've been wrong like so many times, so I'm just seeing if this one will work.
The Heat only lost 2 games so far this playoffs. No, it's a good opinion, right? Lakers have been on a tear. Let's see what happens. I'll be curious. I think going back to it, and this was my previous question. I'm curious what they're going to see against a legit multi-purpose zone / man defense. I think to your point, they're definitely going to lose one game because of that. Like, they're just going to be like, what's going on? And it'll be interesting to see how everybody else reacts and if their shooters are good enough, because they're going to need enough shooters, right? I saw Danny Green hit a couple of shots. Shout out to D Green.
This year?
He actually showed up.
You know, hopefully he doesn't turn it over at the half court line there.
Yeah.
Don't pressure him.
You sure he's still on the roster? I don't know.
Hey, shout out to inside the green room, man. Come on. I'll say it once. I'll say it again. I got a nice signed camera from them. They got their fan. They got a fan for life.
Fandom. Yeah, he's made a fan for life.
A fan for life over here. But anyway, Harrison. Okay. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that's a real possibility with the Lakers. They're steamrolling right now. Jay, who do you think, and how many games?
I'm going Lakers in 6. It's just because when it comes to it, there's just no answer for AD, and then there's no matchup for AD. And even if you throw a bunch of guys at him, LeBron just has to turn on the aggression, get the calls, and be more assertive when he wants to. And when he wants to, this is the time. He's going to get the calls. He's going to make the shots. And as much as I love the team, Miami, and I like Bam, and I like their squad, and I like Jimmy, they were down for 70% of the series against Boston. They were down.
Yeah,
they were down by double digits, and that's Boston. I don't think Boston's that great of a team. Yeah. So just like that, I think they're gonna, they're gonna run into a real team.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, the one thing that I got to give the Lakers more credit for too, and I think everybody started to, is they actually brought legit defense to this year, like to this squad. They bought in. Hey, do we got a special guest here?
Hey,
Walter is deciding and bugging me. Like, he's like, yo, he heard LeBron's name. He wants to say. He's going with this. He's going right here. He's going right here is the one.
Yeah, no, it's I think with the Lakers have legit D, and it's gonna definitely test Miami's ability to score, because if they get behind like they did against Boston, it's not like they could do like the pick and roll with Bam and just get in there easy, right? Because that's what how they tore apart the Celtics. Like, Celtics couldn't stop Bam, but Lakers can. So yeah,
and Miami, Lakers aren't gonna let a double-digit lead slip away the same way. Like, you tell me LeBron and AD are going to take it easy for 10 possessions straight? I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah. All right, Mike, your thoughts. Who's going to win?
Might say this. So I think it would be Lakers in 5, just because even if they lose that game against Miami, they'll figure it out. We've seen it before, especially LBJ. He'll run the shots like he always does. But I would say this: if it's the Heat, I would say in 6, because you know, given that they also have to, you know, it's with this group, it's a new experience, right? And it'll take some time for them to figure out the Lakers. And I'd say for them it would be more of a mental game, because it's like, we're in the finals, this is great, but to really focus and what's that word? They're in, you know, they're in it to win it, if you want to say. So that's what I would. Yeah, those are my choices.
I agree with you that there's going to be one during the headlights game, and it's probably just normally I would say it's game 1, but there's no crowd. Like if they were playing at Staples, I would bet that game 1 would go to the Lakers. But since there's no Staples, like I think the first couple, like there's the first couple games are going to be really even, and there's going to be though like that, you know, in the words of Charles Barkley, that sphincter tightening kind of moment because it's the finals that is going to, yeah, like that's going to cost them maybe one game. So we'll see. Melvin, what are your thoughts?
I'm going with Jay here. Lakers in 6. So I think the Heat will take game 1. They're going to mess them up with the zone and the 3-point shooting, and Lakers will just have to figure it out. And then I think they win an elimination game as well. So Butler will kind of will them to one of those wins, and then Lakers will close it out in 6. So that's my prediction. I'll be completely wrong though, and it'll be like Miami in 4.
That's what we're all hoping. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, exactly. Miami in 3.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, of all all the statements of MJ versus LBJ, right? The thing about never getting swept or never losing in the first round always comes up, right? The biggest of ironies would be if you got swept in the finals, but I don't see that happening. He's just too good. But for me personally, I was super impressed with Miami, how they played, and I'm just gonna go with the system ball this time. And LBJ is so smart; he's gonna figure it out. So that's why I'm gonna do Heat in 6, because I think there's enough. Heat in 6. There's just gonna be enough system thrown their way that is gonna fudge them up. I just think I cannot. Like, if anything, I'm here's the homer in me again. The Nick Nurse syndrome. If Spoelstra isn't throwing every situation at the book at these guys, then I don't know what you're doing, because this is a clear example where if you make this team uncomfortable, this is how you beat them. Every team was just doing the same thing over and over again, and eventually they'll figure it out. Like Denver, throw it into Jokic, they'll figure it out. Like they eventually figured it out. Throw the weight on him, right? You got to make them keep thinking and thinking and thinking until they can't think anymore, right? Like there's just LeBron is gonna figure it out. He's always gonna T1000 that shit on you. Excuse my language. Oh damn it, this better not get flagged. But he's always gonna figure it out. So you just got to keep throwing stuff at him, and Spoelstra has the arsenals to do it. So but that's just me thinking, like overthinking it from a coaching perspective. In the end of the day, you got to get it done.
He can do it. I don't think he can do it for 4 games. That's all.
Well, I know Spoelstra
can come up. Do it for a full.
Yeah, I think he can come up with schemes. It's a matter of his team can execute it, right?
Yeah.
Like going back to like box and 1, like throwing it out there for the first time in an NBA Finals game. It's like, okay.
No, that's amazing, but you can't. That's not going to phase LeBron for the whole game.
Yeah, no. But they can't do what they did to Celtics. They can't play the same 3-2 or hybrid 2-1-2 zone the whole game, because LeBron picked that apart. That's why if he's smart, you just got to keep throwing different things at it, different things at it. Because Bam can't sit in the middle. He's gonna get fouled. He's gonna foul out. You can't let him sit in the middle like that. He's just gonna foul out. But there's not enough shooters. How come the Heat can't do box and 1 on Lakers? Who on the Lakers can shoot?
That's the big thing, is that we know with AD and LeBron we're gonna get 60 points. So where's the other 50 to 60 points coming from on that bench? And I was impressed by Caldwell Pope, who I hate as a player, but he's making threes. Yeah, and I'm like, how is this guy hitting big threes? Yeah. And as much as I don't like Dwight, he was making big defensive plays and no second shots because he's grabbing boards. So there wasn't secondhand opportunities for Jamal or any of the scrappy guys.
Yeah.
But the thing Miami has going for them is that there's a lot of big question mark guys that they can't have studied a lot on. Like Hero is one thing to know when you play him once or twice, but they have no idea how good he is in terms of his moves, and Duncan Robinson. So there's some guys that if they step up, they could make it interesting.
Yeah.
And Myers Leonard, as much as he hasn't played, that's a big body to throw against those guys on that side too. You know?
Well, and shoots threes. So this is my kick up with the Heat. If I look at the Heat team, there's nobody in the West who is similar to what the Heat are. Like they don't have nobody. The Nuggets, the Blazers, the Rockets, they didn't have anybody who was running around shooting threes. Like Duncan Robinson, like you were saying, he's gonna run around forever. Who's gonna cover him? Like that'll be Danny Green usually.
Or Caruso is super
Caruso.
athletic.
But Caruso, you would put on
tired.
You would put him on Tyler Hero though, right? Because you don't want him to break. So I don't know, right? Like to your point,
Kuzma has the length to be with one of those guys.
Yeah.
But it's more a matter of who on the Lakers, because Danny Green hasn't been stepping up. Rondo has. Kuzma in spurts, but that's the only thing where if the rest of the people don't show up for the Lakers, it could make LeBron and AD's even harder. Like there, because if you think about 30 each, that's already a lot, and that's only 60 points out of the 120. You know.
Yeah. Well, they don't have anybody like go off like Mr. Hero. Anyway.
Yeah.
who can be your hero all day.
At least that's the part that I'm hoping will make it interesting. But
hey,
I just
you know
don't
what?
see it.
Bubble ball. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think every series had like home court didn't mean anything. So it's been at least 30% of the games came down to like the last couple minutes or some crazy number like that. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So we're finally here. The end of the 2019-2020 NBA season. In a season of unprecedented, happenings, not only just in the NBA but in the world, and also just a quick recognition of the message that the NBA is, continuing to remind everybody about, and that there needs to be more social equality and social justice in this world. Just to remind about that, it's been a whole new world. And now we're here. Los Angeles Lakers versus the Miami Heat. Some big franchises with some big things on the line. LBJ versus Jimmy Buckets. I'm hoping you're all excited as I am. Except I wish it was the Raptors, but that's for some. So, last words. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I guess we're going to see the finals wrap up.
No, we could. No, we need to get. I'll see if we can get everybody. I'm gonna just type it up beforehand and try to get everybody. Try to get Ollie here. What's Ollie doing, man? Ollie's so young. Why isn't he here? He's a child. He should have been here. Come on. Anyway, we'll bug him later.
Zoom shy.
Ollie,
Mike A is Zoom shy.
Yeah, Ollie, if you're listening to this, you're coming on the next one. No, no questions asked. It's like, come on, you're young. It's not too late. But anyway. It's been an epic season, and it's about to end in an epic way. So it'll be great. Any last thoughts about this NBA season before we start off these finals, Rod?
I gotta say I've enjoyed this bubble much more than I thought I would. Like basketball in summer. I mean, who's gonna sit home and watch basketball all day with no fans in the stands? But that's me, I guess, because I was there for pretty much every game. I think I've watched more basketball than I did during like last year. So it's
It's easier that everything was on East time zone, man. I didn't have any 1 a.m.s. Joe.
I'm just looking at the current Vegas odds. Me and Melv always take a look. Lakers by 4.5 right now, game 1.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's in that in between. So, Vegas still has the Lakers winning for game 1. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm really interested to see this series for sure. So it'll be, what do they have the total at? The total they have at 218, so they think it's high scoring as well.
High scoring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
high for two defensive teams.
Yeah.
And playoffs. So, yeah.
That's
Obviously, I'm
pretty
going with the under game 1.
good.
That's your Joe's tip of the week.
Play that with the Thursday night football.
I'm gonna parlay that.
Yeah, Melvin Parlay, they call him the Parlay Kid.
Man, actually, like, yeah, this season, like, crazy between, we had our fantasy draft this year? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So just thinking back to kind of the fantasy draft,
Gonna win that.
and then everything completely went away. And now this bubble, which reminds me of the NCAA tournament /
Big
summer
time.
league. It's like a little of both. So no home court advantage, no anything. Weird seeing celebrities on video, like Lil Wayne, I think, was there one time,
Yeah.
and a bunch of guys. So yeah, seeing who those fans are, like who those celebrity fans are. But it's been cool. Like this bubble has been awesome to watch. And like you said, like I've been able to watch most games, or at least up until the Raptors lost, because it's been Eastern time zone, so no staying up for me, which is nice.
Definitely. Thank you for staying up a little bit longer. Same with you, Mike. Mike, what are your thoughts? Last thoughts?
Yeah, in the beginning it was odd because it almost felt like I was watching an Olympic game in a video game. But then once you got used to that, what was neat is the Oculus view. Whenever
The camera, the low pan.
So it was cool because when it was in real time, it's really interesting to see how fast they really play. Right? It was amazing. I don't know. I haven't been privileged to be that close to any of the games. So it was really cool. Just kind of sad to see the Raps lose that early, but still looking forward to this finals, and can't wait for January if that's when it's going to start up again.
Yeah. We don't know. Cross your fingers, but it's been an incredible capper to the crazy NBA season. It's been, like all of you said, fun to watch, different, easier to watch with the Eastern time zone, back-to-back games all the time. Forced me to buy the cable package again. There you go. But it's been worth it, and it's been a reminder of how competitive these folks are. And yeah, the fans are great at the arenas, and honestly, it can, if this thing has shown anything, it actually does make a difference when you have that extra oomph of energy with the fans. But man, seeing them, like, I wish they had turned down the fake audio, to be honest. I wanted to hear them yell more. But other than that, the passion.
I have no doubt.
There.
If it was regular and we had our crowd, I have no doubt we would have went.
Yeah.
Final.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, it's lesson learned, and either way, it's going to be an epic final. We're going to enjoy it. The NBA final starts Wednesday, September 30th. I don't forgot the time. That's so bad of me. That's the only thing I didn't write down.
At night.
Yeah, at night. Yeah, it's probably like 8 or 9 p.m. for the West Coasters, right? Or like
prime time.
8:30 probably. Okay, at 8:30 I'm guessing on ABC or a TSN or Sportsnet if you're in Canada. But either way,
at 9.
Darn it! Okay, 8:30 pregame. That was right. No, just kidding. But thank you very much, Rod. 3-time. Appreciate you always. Kicking us off. Really love it. Joe, Jay, 2-time. Love the back-to-backs. And please go check out Joe's New Black and check out the drop. Melvin, congratulations. Thank you for making the time, spending the time with us at this evening block, and making your first trip here. You'll be known as back-to-back on your next one. Please convince your brother to come too, because we all need to see his lovely face. Michael, thank you very much again. I know it's not easy. You have to give all of the responsibilities to the CEO of your house, and you're going to owe her for that later. But I promise I got your back if you need anything when this whole situation dies down. But really appreciate you. Congratulations again. And please come back and tell your brother to get here. He's so young. He's making the rest of us feel even younger. I'm like, he's like an old man. But as always, it's a pleasure to have you as guests of the Continental. For those of you watching, please comment, like, subscribe, email us. We all want to hear what you think if you have a chance to watch it, and let us know your opinion. But please enjoy the NBA Finals and have a blast. We'll see you again at the Continental. Thank you.